Hey everyone, you're watching Sidestep Adventures, and on today's video we're going to take a step back in time at the historic Jarrell Plantation here in Juliette, Georgia. This plantation dates back to 1847 and was farmed up until 1965. There are a lot of cool old buildings out here to check out, so let's get started right now. Alright, so here's a smokehouse right here that we'll take a look in. And by the way, the inside lighting will be provided by this Through Night TC15 that Through Night was kind enough to send me. So if we get in any places that are too dark, we use this light today, like for some of the corners right here. But check out all the old bottles up there on the smokehouse wall. And there's even a piece of smoked meat up there. Alright, so this is the 1895 house. It says this simple house was built by Dick Jarrell for his wife, Mamie, and family, which grew to include 12 children, including Willie. Most were born in the house. Dick taught school, milled, and operated the farm with his children, and occasionally one or two farm hands. Dick is said to have built the home with wood he milled himself and nails he made. Notice the handmade brick chimney. The two front rooms were used as family rooms and sleeping areas. In the rear was a kitchen and dining room connected to the house by a small hall or dog trot. The beds, dressers, trunks, washstand, desk, and tables are all original. A trundle bed and cot once completed the furnishings. The dining room has the original pie safe and table. Despite its small size and lack of insulation, this house is a typical Georgia farmhouse and reflects the harsh economic realities of its time. Dick and Mamie wanted a larger, more comfortable home like his father John's 1847 house. But instead of adding on to this one, they decided to build a new home, the 1920 house, which I'll show you guys in just a minute. This house became housing for farm hands and storage. And this house has a really interesting smell in here. I can't really describe it, other than the smell of old. Take a look at the old doorknob right there. There's the handmade brick chimney. It's interesting to think the people who built and lived in this house never would have imagined it would be part of a state park. And you probably won't be able to see it on video, but it's got the original wavy glass windows. This stove was made by the Southern Company Operative Foundry Company, Rome, Georgia. All right, so here's the 1920 Jarrell house. This is still a private residence and is not actually on the state park property, but we can look at it from behind this fence. And just so you guys have reference, the other house that was built before that one is just right over there. Here's the old well, and it's still open. Under that, I just looked down it, and there you go. You guys can see it's 45 foot deep well that was dug here. They got their water from. It's rock lined. Pretty neat. But what I thought was fascinating is right over here. This chimney right here is the old syrup furnace. It says John Jarrell, a skilled stonemason, is said to have built this chimney and furnace used for cooking sugarcane syrup in two 80-gallon kettles. The rock work was later extended to accommodate long metal evaporator pans. Big kettles were also useful for scalding bristles off hogs at the annual winter hog butchering. But what I thought was pretty interesting is it said when salt became scarce during the Civil War, they would bring salt water from Savannah, Georgia, up here and boil it down to get the salt out of it. And I thought that was pretty neat. And these old sugarcane pans are full of tadpoles. It's definitely better than mosquito larvae in standing water. I guess maybe they eat the mosquito larvae. But let's keep going up this way. Take a look at these old buildings. Thought maybe that was another well, but that's like a little mini cistern or something. See down there? It's not very far, not very deep. I don't know quite what that was. Maybe we can find out. All right, so this is the 1847 Plantation house. It says John Fitzgerald built this plantation plain-style house about 1847 for his wife Elizabeth and 7 children. It is typical in size and layout of many cotton plantation houses. The wood is virgin heart pine, a durable and sturdy wood. This room, created by closing in a portion of the front porch, was called the honeymoon room by the family. It served as a bedroom for a local teacher, travelers, and older children. The large front room served as a master bedroom, nursery, parlor, sewing room, and office. John is said to have made much of this furniture. Stairs lead up to the loft, or attic, providing sleeping quarters for the boys and storage. Beside the front room was the girls' bedroom. The back porch was enclosed to provide 2 additional rooms, the dining room and a bedroom. In the 1890s, this bedroom was converted into a store and served as the Cardville post office. Across a narrow breezeway, a new kitchen or stove room was added in 1818, replacing a log cookhouse which stood further from the house. Let's take a quick look underneath the house as we always have to do that on Sidestep Adventures. Here's the kitchen addition right here. Alright, so this is the smokehouse out behind the 1847 plantation house. This smokehouse is the last remaining log building still standing here at Jarrell Plantation, and this was rebuilt in 1870. Inside is a plank boat like the one the Jarrell family used, built by the historic site staff. The 1847 kitchen once stood to the right of the smokehouse. And still walking in here, I was just thinking again, looking at this hand-hewn wood in here, that the people building this place, rebuilding it back in 1870, would have had no idea I'd be walking inside of it when it was sort of a museum piece now, so many years later. And I think that's pretty interesting. And that brick pit that I found when I first walked up to this house, that was a flour pit. It was used for storing household flowers and stuff in during the winter, and then in the summertime was used for storing food like potatoes and that sort of thing. It was on the sign back there. I told you we might find out what it was. This is the old chicken house, and we've got another thing that we always like to take a look at on Sidestep Adventures. We have the old outhouse. And it's a two-seater too. There it is. It's interesting looking at this house. It's not what you immediately think of when you hear old Southern plantation home. I always think of the big white columned houses that are stereotypical of that, but that wasn't always the case, and that's kind of interesting to see that. Before we walk to some more buildings, let me tell you a little bit about the Jarrell Plantation. So this site has over 20 original structures built by the Jarrell family from 1847 to 1945. This site was owned by 3 generations of one family for over 125 years and was donated to the state of Georgia in 1974. Settling on this land here in 1847, John Fitzgerald and Elizabeth Middlebrooks acquired over 600 acres by 1863 that were farmed by the family and 42 enslaved people. 1864 brought a raid by Union soldiers and typhoid fever, which claimed the lives of John's wife, daughter, and many enslaved. By the end of that year, John began to rebuild and also remarried. His second wife, Nancy Ann, continued the farm operation after his death in 1884, and 2 of their children returned to help keep the farm alive. Maddie returned to care for her mother, nieces, and nephews, and ran a general store in the 1847 home. Dick, a teacher by trade, built a second home on the plantation in 1895 and later industrialized the entire farm operation. Dick's son, Willie Lee, was the last Jarrell to farm the land, retiring in 1965. So another interesting thing that I'd read elsewhere said that after the Civil War ended, this plantation actually grew to about 1,000 acres and was used for timber mostly because the Ocmulgee River is right back there somewhere behind it, and so they would float logs downstream, and it was farmed by the Jarrell family and tenant farmers that were the enslaved people that had remained after freedom came to work on the land as tenant farmers. Now, unfortunately, this area of the park down here, these buildings that you see, is currently closed due to renovations from storm damage. So maybe we'll have to come back here to the Jarrell Plantation Historic Site and check it out at a later date when they open back up. All right, folks, well, that's going to conclude our tour of the Jarrell Plantation today. Super neat place. I'm hoping to make it back here when everything is open. This is a great gem in the state of Georgia. If you're anywhere near here, I highly recommend you to come and visit it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next adventure.